Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the Two Ewes of Two Ewes Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at twoewesfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our Two Ewes Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am betterinmotion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marsha.
Well,
yes, we are not together. We thought we would be together for this episode, but Mother Nature had other ideas.
Yeah, so we did not announce this to people, but I was planning on going to visit you and Robert for New Year's. Mm-hmm. My plan was to leave December 26th and drive to California. But, Mother Nature had other plans. We were hit with a big storm here in Seattle and very, very cold temperatures. And so I had the car packed on the 26th, and I went to get gas at 8 o'clock in the morning to get onto the freeway, and I never even got onto the freeway. I went onto the on-ramp and saw that there's cars just sitting there and people out of their cars looking at something, and there was nobody behind me, so don't do this if there's people behind you, but I just backed up on the on-ramp and turned down a side street and went home.
Yeah.
And had been looking at the weather, and I knew there were storms in Southern Oregon and Northern California. And we talked, and then I decided I was going to try and go the next day, Monday the 27th. And I got in the car, and I went out there, and I just thought, I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to do it. So I called you and I said, I'm not coming down. So I'm really bummed.
I know. Yeah. But Robert was really glad you decided not to come. He was worried about you driving and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was worried too. But I was going to be doing it on my own, and having spent time going to college, going over passes after Christmas break to go to school, and being stuck 10 hours at the pass. Mm-hmm. I thought I can't make myself do it, you know. Well, and my car is really good in the snow, but it was too much. So I did miss Robert's last day of work because he has retired, and I missed New Year's, and I missed what I was really looking forward to is your coworkers did the tamale making party.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so don't tell me how fun it was, Kelly, because it's just going to upset me.
Okay. But no, the good news is, while it is a lot of work, and while there is, in certain circles, a lot of judgment about tamales and how well you make them and how thin you get them and all of that, it's kind of a myth that it's so difficult. It's a lot of work. It's not difficult. And if you don't care, you know, that you're making stained glass masa that you can see through when you hold it up.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have your grandma giving you rules about how the tamales need to be. According to my friends, you know, you can make them thick. You can pile on the masa. You can make them thin. You can make them inconsistent, where some parts of them are thick and some parts of them are thin. It's not like I had this idea that they were really hard to make, and that it was sort of like, I don't know, making one of those things on the Great British Baking Show where, you know, you're in danger of the whole thing just going awry, and it doesn't taste good. It doesn't look good. It's just a mess. And it turns out that tamales are not like that.
No, I've watched people make them on cooking shows, and I have cookbooks with how to make them. But it really seemed to me as one of those things that you have to make the commitment to make them, because it is a bit labor intensive, and you make large amounts of it, and you don't make just 12 tamales. You make 100 tamales. Is that
right?
Maybe that's an exaggeression, but you make a lot because it's. Yeah.
There's a lot of prep work to do. And if you're going to, it's kind of like weaving. If you're going to do the prep work, if you're going to wind a warp and thread all those threads through the heddles, a lot, people think to themselves, well, I'm going to put on a long warp and make multiples of whatever I'm making. But even that you don't have to do. I mean, I just made a baby blanket where all I put on the loom was just the yarn for that one baby blanket. Might not be the most efficient way to go, but it was certainly okay, So anyway, they don't seem as daunting to me anymore. They're delicious. Delicious.
So when I come down, next time we'll make them.
I've only had reheated tamales. I've never had them right out of the pan, the pot. And oh my gosh, delicious. So, well, next time you come down, maybe we'll even save some because I have some in the freezer that are not cooked. That's the other thing you could do that I found out. You don't actually need to steam them when you make them. So, so that then I've had them frozen that you then reheat. But these are frozen in my freezer, but not even cooked. And
so you would just steam them.
So they'll be steamed and they'll be freshly steamed. Now, I don't know what the freezer, what being frozen does. Does that change, is it different from the fresh ones just made? But anyway, it was a fun day and we can definitely reproduce that. Next time you're here, if you're here for long enough.
Yeah, next time. Yeah. So that was a bummer, and but I thought to myself, I guess better to stay home so I can go another time, right? Than start out and have something bad happen. So,
or even just be stuck. I mean, if you're going to be stuck, if you're going to be snowbound, better to be snowbound, surrounded by all your own yarn and food and drink, than to be snowbound in some motel somewhere. Right. Or snowbound in your car on the side of the road.
On the mountain pass stuck there, So, well, and I'll tell you another reason. There was many reasons why I made the decision that I made, but one of them was, as I had lighting that I was bringing down. That some of it was for the house and some was going in the trailer. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if I got like rear-ended or in an accident and the car's totaled? It would total all the lighting. And I was like, So that was another reason why I thought, just going to wait. Just going to wait. So,
yes.
But anyway, I've been home and I did take your advice because you remember what you said to me is that the time that I would have been with you in California, what we had planned on doing was just sitting in either your living room or the sunroom or someplace warm and just knitting and talking and eating and drinking. And then that was going to be speckled with trips to the beach, taking the dogs to the beach. So you said I had to sort of take this time to just hang out and knit. So that's what I've been doing. And I've cast on some projects and I've been working on projects and I didn't take the tree down. I did, and you told me I was not allowed to entertain anybody.
I did tell you that, yes.
You did tell me that, and I didn't follow that exactly. I had my friend Kim and Joanne, Mom Diggity, over for knitting.
Oh, that's good.
I can't remember what day it was.
I approve
Thursday?
of that.
I don't remember. Okay, so that was fun. And then last night, I was planning on spending New Year's Eve on my own, and then Kim and my brother just came by, and we just ate leftovers. It was very, very simple.
Nice low-key New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it was at the last minute. They just decided to come over. So, but yeah, it's been a good time here at home too. So,
well, good. Yeah, I've actually, it would be nicer if you were here, but I have actually been enjoying myself with Robert home because he usually works the holidays, when he works. So his last day of work was the 28th, and then Wednesday and Thursday are his normal days off. So So Wednesday and Thursday, he kept saying, well, I'm not really retired. This is just like my normal day off.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the 31st came, that was like his actual retirement date and the first actual day that, he would have had to be at work. But then he's like, well, but this is a holiday. So, I could have had the holiday off. So I'm not sure when he's actually going to start to feel like it's really retirement and not just days off.
Yeah.
But it's been, we've been just kind of sitting. We went for a walk yesterday and that took the dogs out and did 6 miles. And Barry he did great. It was on hills in Fort Ord and he didn't have a sit down strike or anything. He went the whole way. He was lively the whole way. So so he's really come along. So anyway, we've been having a good holiday week. So. So with all your sitting and knitting, what have you been knitting on, Marsha?
I will tell you what I've been knitting on. I finished something.
Yay!
I finished one of the Nanny Meier tea cozies, the one I was making for my friend Susannah out of the yellow and orange. I finished that, and I think I brought it over to her the day before Christmas Eve, so the 23rd, I think. I dropped it off, and she made a pot of tea, and we put it on the teapot.
Oh, nice.
And do you remember I was talking about, should I sew it up or should I not sew it up and just sew it up when I got to her house? What I did is I sewed it up what I thought was going to be the right size, but I left the ends loose. I didn't knot it or weave in the ends. So when I got there, I could fit it on the teapot, and it was pretty good. I think I just made a couple extra little stitches, and then I wove in the ends. So that worked really well.
That's good.
So I delivered that. And then the other nanny, I have to give everybody an update on the other Nanny Meier tea cozy that I'm making, the one for Brian. Because there's been all this discussion about Brian, like if you can't give me the measurements, don't do anything, don't call him. And I have not called him. And then he came. We've been sort of fouled up on our dates. It's been a while, between episodes. But he came at some point. He came and had dinner, and he brought his teapot, and he left the teapot. So I have it, and today I finished the first side, and I cast on, and I've knit about 1.5 inches of the second side. So I'm hoping to finish that in the next couple of days.
Oh, that's good. Is that the red and green one, or the burgundy and green one?
Yeah. So I'm glad he finally brought that tea. And it's nice just to, I thought it was his only teapot, but he says he has another one. So that's good that I can just keep it for a while and fit it on there. So, and then what else? I'm still working on my socks, the Meadow Stripe Socks. And I got sort of, involved in other projects, so it's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit, but I pick it up periodically and work on it. And then I did cast on another quick switch hat by Abby Knits.
That's
Be careful when I say that.
That's as bad as garter squish.
I know. In fact, I have to tell you, I was listening.
Garter swish.
I was listening to our last episode when I was walking Enzo the other day, and I was trying to say garter stitch blanket, and I couldn't say it. And then I went to correct myself, and I listened to myself carefully, and when I'm trying to correct myself, I said garter switch. Even when I corrected myself. So garter stitch and quick switch hat. Anyway, Kim and I had gone hiking. I guess it was the Wednesday before Christmas. I can't remember. Anyway, we were near Issaquah, and that's where there's a yarn shop called Nifty Knitter there. And that's where I had seen the pattern for this hat. And so I went in there and I bought 3 skeins of yarn because Ben, he wanted a hat, and then his friend Ben, who also named Ben, I think I mentioned this, that I always refer to when they're together, my son is Ben the younger, and his friend Ben is Ben the elder because he's 31, and my son is 24. That's not his name. His last name is not Elder, but I always refer to them as Ben the younger and Ben the elder. Anyway, both Bens liked the hat and wanted them. So I got yarn for both of them, and then my brother really liked the hat, and I got a color for him. So the one I'm making for Ben is Meeker Street Olives Outerwear DK in the colorway Sage. And let me grab the other two. I'm making the one for my brother is Meeker Street, the same yarn, and it's called Dragon's Breath. And it's like an orange. It's a very cool color. I love it. And then the other Ben the Elder, I bought Dye House DK. It says here, Serial Knitters Underground. And I don't know what the color is called, Reindeer. And it looks sort of like a, now it's funny, my brother looked at it and says he sees purple. I think it's like fig.
Right.
Fig color. You know, that's like it's brown.
Yeah,
it's not really
fig,
purple, but it's
brown. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Puce.
So I've got those puce, I guess. Yes.
I only say that because all those years that I had an Irish Water Spaniel, that's what they say in the breed standard. Something about puce as the color. It's kind of like, okay, none of these dogs are puce. But then that yarn, the one I like that's been discontinued that I really want to get, some Druid Hill from
Druid Hill
from Neighborhood Fiber Company is that same kind of color, that purpley brown.
Yeah,
color.
it's you first think it's brown, but the more you look at it, you realize it has a little bit of purpley, mauvey tones to it. Because I knit a sweater out of that colorway.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a golden brown at all.
Yeah. And I have to say, too, do you remember when I was talking about this hat, when you are to create this pattern of the stitches leaning to the right and then leaning to the left, you knit through the second stitch on the left needle first, either through the front or the back, depending on which way the stitch is going to lean, and then knit through the first stitch. And then you just keep going around. But when you get to your end of row marker, you keep moving it. You knit to one stitch before the marker, and then you move the marker one stitch to the left, or to the right. And then that's when you start your new row. And you remember I was saying on the first hat, I could not wrap my head around that. Now it seems really simple to me and I understand it, but the first hat, I could not understand. It was so funny. And so now I understand. So this hat looks a lot better than the one I did. The one I did is okay, but I can tell there's some where that beginning of row was. And there's a little kind of funky stitches, so I always put that in the back. But this one I'm making for Ben now is much better. So I've learned what I'm doing.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Sometimes you have to, you have to actually go through the process before you kind of understand the logic in the stitches. And I feel the same way about weaving too. It takes me a few inches at least of weaving till I'm like, okay, I see the system or the rhythm, the pattern. Of what's happening. So, well, good.
I think my first hat is sort of like in sewing. You do you make a dress or something out of muslin first.
Oh, right.
I think that's how I'm considering my hat.
It's your
the muslin.
That's cool.
So anyway, but the other thing I cast on, and I'm really excited about this because I've been talking about this for a while, but the hand spun, the green and bitter sweet chocolate bitter chocolate kind of barber pole hand spun that I did, I wanted to start a sweater for Ben. And I've been searching because I didn't have enough of the green and brown. I bought more of the brown and just spun that as a solid. And so I was going to make stripes to extend the yarn. So I've been looking at patterns, and I think I talked about this in the last episode that I went to Franco.com, and that's PHRANCKO.com, and Frank Jernigan is the designer. And he does a really interesting pullover where it looks like it has set-in sleeves. But they're not. It's knitted top down, and you just shape those quote unquote set-in sleeves with increases. So it's like it's basically a raglan sleeve, really is the tech. But the way he's designed it ends up looking like a set-in sleeve, and I thought I was having difficulty finding a pattern for the gauge of the yarn. And so I thought, well, this is great because you measure. I measured Ben. It's his site is similar to Amy Herzog's site. The custom fit site is like that concept. And I don't think she's doing that anymore, I heard, but it's the same idea. So you just take these certain measurements of, chest and arm length and neck and all this stuff. And then you do a swatch and figure out your row height and your gauge, or your stitches per inch and your rows per inch. And you enter all of that into the website. Also, if it's a standard yarn, say, for example, if it was Cascade 220, he has, as people have been putting in their yarn, he saves all that information. So if I had made the sweater out of Cascade 220, or think of another brand, and it was already in there, it adds the calculation about yardage. You could put all that in there. Otherwise, if you don't, then you have to put in if it's not in the system, you put in your own yardage. So this is nice. I could put in the number of ounces of yarn I have, either ounces or grams, and then you put in the number of yards you have or meters that you have. And then it will, and then with all of this information, it prints out the pattern for you. So I cast on, I started it, and I have to say I love knitting with my hand spun. There is something about hand spun that is very, very satisfying to knit with, and I can't explain what it is.
Maybe this is not the part of it that's so satisfying, but it just has a life to it. That hand spun yarn just has a vitality to it that, a commercial skein doesn't have.
Yeah. And also, I guess, too, because I'm not a very, what would I say, even spinner or something. It has a little, I can see where there's parts where it's a little thin and thick, but as we've talked about, once you knit it up, it's not really a huge deal.
Right.
But it does give it some sort of textural interest, I think.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but I was been knitting along, and I thought to myself, God, this thing, it looks so small. It's supposed to fit him, right? And I should say too is that you can pick if you want like slim fitting, regular fitting, roomy, extra, like how it's going to fit and how much ease you're going to have. And so for an extra $1, you just get you can get all the sizes. So I just thought I'll just do that. So I'm making the size that I can, the largest size, the roomiest size I can make with the amount of yarn I have, which should give him about 4 inches of positive ease because Ben's a skinny guy, right? So
that'll be nice.
So, but I thought to myself, it looks so small. So, and then on New Year's, when my brother and Kim were, they're like, it's too small, Marsha. I'm like, but math doesn't lie, right? I'm going by the math. It has to be right. So, but Frank does on Saturdays, he does a Zoom meeting with and all of these people. So anyway, I went today, just before we recorded, I showed up at the meeting, and I said to him, I have to ask you a question because it looks like it's too small. And my 2 people last night said it looks too small. And he said, and everybody on the Zoom call started laughing.
Oh, really?
Yes, because apparently this is what everybody says. It's too small. It looks too small. And he said, it will be fine. It's because what I'm doing is, he said, you have to remember, this is not like a raglan sleeve. Because the technique is like I don't want to say the technique is like a raglan sleeve because it's making it look like a set-in sleeve. But the technique is basically a raglan sleeve. You just start making increases, right? And that's what forms the shape. But that doesn't have a line on the top of your shoulder where the set-in sleeve is, right?
Right.
Like where is the top of the shoulder? There's no demarcation really on a raglan sleeve. This one actually has kind of a demarcation. I can't really explain it the right way, but he said that's actually further up on your shoulder. And so as you start making the increases for the so-called, he calls it the sleeve cap, but that top part over that's where all your increases are going in. And he said it will work. They all were like sort of not laughing at me. That's not at all, but they were laughing with me. Like, no, they all have been through this. The first one they made, it's like, it's too small. So I'm really, really interested in seeing how this sweater turns out. It's just a fascinating process too, that.
Yeah. A custom design pattern is really a cool idea. Mm-hmm. And his patterns are primarily for men, correct?
Yes, and I have to learn more, and I did not have a lot of time to stay on the call because we're getting ready to record. I want to ask them because on the his Instagram account, he shows people who've made cardigans, and I don't know if he's from the website if you can design a cardigan from the website or if someone's just made a pullover and steeked it.
Oh, and interesting.
I don't know. I'm and then he was showing us too. He's working on a sweater that has cables going down the front, like because you can either pick a crew collar or a V-neck. And the one that he was working on was a V-neck with cables going like around the neck and then down the front of the sweater. And I'm not sure how that works, how you get cables in there, how you design that, or does he do that? Or is it something you get the basic pattern and then you figure out the cables? Or could you use this pattern for a color work project? I don't know.
I think in the custom fit site, you could add cables. You could say you were adding a cable, and then you'd have to give I think you had to give some information about them. But there was like a formula for how the gauge changed because of, pulled in because of the cables. There was something embedded in the pattern making. So I would imagine he has a similar thing.
Yeah, I have to do, I'm really talking about it too soon because I need to do a little bit more research and I'll find out more on the next call and I'll kind of peruse around on the website. But I do remember with Amy Herzog's site, I made 2 sweaters, I believe, with her. And the first one we made together, remember, it was the Acorn Trail.
Yeah.
And that one is that she had the pattern, but then she would custom fit that pattern to you.
Right.
And it had the cables in it. And then I did another custom fit cardigan, like an open front cardigan kind of thing that had no cables in it. But I remember you could select the length, you could select the length of the sleeves, the shape of the sleeves, because I did kind of like a bell-shaped sleeve, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, my second one too was freeform. It wasn't a pattern that she already had that was converted to the custom fit. It was, what kind of sweater do you want? What kind of features do you want? Kind of like yours. And I did something wrong and ended up with a pattern that was way too small. And then I had to end up recalculating. But,
well, and both of mine, the sleeves were too tight.
Yeah.
We've talked about that,
I think that's a feature. I just really think that's a feature of women's pattern grading right now. Well, maybe not right now because bigger sleeves are more in fashion. I'm seeing patterns with more puffier sleeves, wider sleeves. But I think there for a while, I mean, it was kind of like, well, if you're doing this size, this is how many inches around you need your sleeve to be. And to me, they were just too tight. Because I want a sweater to go over the top of something. And I don't want to have to like do the opposite of peel myself into it, Whatever that word is as the opposite of peeling, where you're, getting yourself into the sweater. I have a few sweaters.
You don't want to grease up your arms to get your sweater on.
Yes, I have a few sweaters that are like that. I feel like I practically have to grease my arms to put them into the sleeve. Oh my gosh. And then we've talked on, I won't go on and on about this, but we've talked on and on about the depth of the, I think it's called the arm side. And it's like, okay, that is just unrealistic. But I also think I'm more sensitive to that feeling of having my sleeves tight around the top of my arms too. So anyway, we won't go into my little
Moving on.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I will report in how this turns out, how this sweater turns out, because I am really interested. And I will join the group next time and talk to them. So that was really fun. Anyway, and I have another story to tell you, though. I have I found a sweater that I want to make someday. But I have to tell you about the sweater because I had a knitting related injury yesterday. So
that sounds ominous.
I'm fine. Everybody's fine. But we have all this snow. And so I took Enzo for a walk. And I'm walking down the street, and there's a young couple getting out of their car, and they're unloading some boxes. And this woman has on this most amazing sweater. And I started looking at the sweater and then slipped on the ice and fell down on my hip and my elbow.
Oh, no.
Because I was what is the sweater she's wearing? It's so cool. Anyway, it's called Embrace Octopus Sweater. And it's... how would could you looked at it, Kelly? It's it has an octopus that's like up on the right shoulder, like the head. Is that what you call it? The bulbousy part of the octopus. And then all the tentacles come down around the chest, and they wrap around the back, and they wrap around down the arms. And if you look at the projects, there are 599 projects.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's a really interesting to look at the projects because also the octopus is very much, it looks like a, like a pen and ink drawing kind
of.
Is that?
Mm-hmm. There's lots of detail of little pixels of knit stitches that make it look, it kind of reminds me of, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Like that style of drawing. And I don't know what drawing it would be. I don't know that the book even has drawings, but kind of that era, that movie was set in a era of, old time. And the sweater in the pattern page is black and white. It really does look like a black and white drawing of an octopus. Yeah. So it's really, so a lot of people have done, the octopus is in the light color and then the body's in like black or navy. Mm-hmm. But then other people have done other ones like, okay, there's one here that she's done, the octopus is like white or cream, but then the body of the sweater is a brown, kind of a chocolatey brown. That is really beautiful. There's one, the sweater's blue, but the octopus is in like a gold. I see that one. Yeah, that's pretty.
Candy Andy did one. It's 2 shades of green. That's beautiful. Another one, Miss Mei, hers is like teal, and then the octopus is in orange. Do you see that one?
Yes.
Further down, there's one where it's like a blue but a pink octopus. I mean, they're just really, really. One, it looks like it's a dark gray with an orange octopus. I just think it's a fantastic sweater.
Yeah, no, it is a fantastic sweater. You need to make this sweater.
You need to make this sweater because you got a thing for octopus. You've got an octopus, right?
Yes, I do. I do.
I think this is just a fantastic sweater. If I get good at color work, then I think I want to make this sweater.
So this would be, is this like intarsia? It's probably, it looks like it might be intarsia.
I don't think it is.
Really?
Well, I don't know.
There's quite a bit of patterning. So I guess it could be it's stranded. It says it's stranded.
Yeah, I'm looking at the details. It says it's worked straight up in the round using stranded color work on circular needles.
So there's enough detail all around the sweater. I mean, looking at the back, you've got tentacles on the back and tentacles on the arms. And wow, that's really something. That would be akin to the detail of the bee blanket that I wanted to make with all the patterning. Oh, very cool, Marsha.
But it made me fall.
Oh my goodness.
But then I have to tell you something about so I fell, and then this young woman, she came over and she said to me, "You're okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." I said, I was looking at your sweater. And anyway, she said she had knit it. And so that's when I went on Ravelry and found it. And I thanked her, for checking on me and everything. But the funny thing is I got home and I thought, where's Enzo's poo bag? Anyway, I think when I fell, it must have just gone flying. And then I just got up and walked off. And so somewhere over there is his poo bag. I went a different route today. I'll need to go retrace my steps and collect his bag. But anyway, that was kind of funny. So, but anyway, I think it's just a very cool pattern.
Yeah.
So someday.
It's one of those
but anyway, that's
fantasy patterns. I have in my queue a tag called fantasy, all the things that I have illusions of making, but also know I probably won't,
I just realized too, I didn't say the name of the designer. It's must be Maya, Maia, Sirnes, Sirnes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this is also really bad podcasting. She only has one design and it's this pattern. Yeah. And actually, if you click on her, on one of the photographs of her sweater, you could see the chart with the octopus design on it, and it's kind of amazing.
Oh yeah, that's kind of scary to look at the chart.
That's intense.
But
anyway,
wow, that's cool.
Anyway, how about you?
Well, right now I have in my on my project page, I was in a finishing binge, and the one thing I didn't finish was weaving in the ends of my pullover that's been done for months. I called it finished a long time ago, but I still need to weave in the ends of that green striped, the Rachel pattern. That was the only thing that I was thinking I would finish before the end of before the end of 2021. My sort of finishing frenzy that I didn't get done, but I got all the ends woven in on a whole bunch of hats, and I got my sweater, my hand spun, the terracotta CVM hand spun sweater that I'm making using the dark green forest pattern. I got it finished.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
this is exciting.
Finally, it's been lingering for a while. I think when I last spoke about it, I had tried to even up the sleeves and actually made the sleeve that was too short, too long.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, I didn't even bother blocking it. I just put it on. I looked at it. I kind of by eye said, okay, I think it needs to go here. And I ripped it back to there, and then I just put in the ribbing. So it's great. It came out good. I definitely need to wash it and block it. The one I finished last year, the Targhee Lamb, that dark and stormy, I never blocked it. I just started wearing it because I finished it and it was cold and I was out in the trailer, and so I just put it on, and I've been wearing it ever since. So I never blocked that sweater. And it kind of didn't need it. It was kind of already, bouncy and relaxed. But this one it feels a little, how you say my sweaters are so light?
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little dense to me. I think some parts of the yarn were a little thicker than what I used to make my gauge swatch. So there's parts of the sweater that feel a little dense, and so they feel a little tight. Like it just needs a little water to kind of go, and all the yarns kind of settle in with each other, and it
needs a spa day.
It does. It needs a spa day. There's a little bit of tension in that sweater that needs to be released. So it's sitting here right now, but I'm really happy with it. I like the pattern. I like the size of it. I like the length of it. I like the pockets. I had to sew the backs on the pockets, and I've done pockets before, but not like this. I like the pockets. They're really not. I was like, well, do your hands even fit in there? And I said, these are not pockets for my hands. These are pretty much not pockets for anything, because it looks frumpy. Because what I stuff into pockets are my keys and Kleenex, and then you have this big lump in the side of your body. So I don't think I'm going to use the pockets. And also, if you do use keys in your pockets in a knit sweater like this, you wear a hole in the bottom of the pocket. So I don't intend to use these pockets very much at all. But they do look nice. They're a nice detail on the front of the sweater. I love the square collar. The cable detail on the sleeves is nice. And it's just enough, it's not like the Dark and Stormy had cable detail on the back, and this one doesn't. It's just solid on the back, but it's nice. I like the cable down the sleeves, and then a little touch of that same cable at the pocket. So, I finished it.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So that's done. And then I've just kind of gone crazy on that Pebblebrook beanie by Wish Upon a Hook. I've made 9 of them total, I think.
Oh, wow.
I had started making them out of the leftovers from Faye's blanket the last time we talked. And then I went on to use some of that Germantown Super Yarn Mart. With an exclamation point. Germantown. So I used up, I had a skein of, like a skein and a half of that, maybe 2 more skeins. Anyway, it takes more than 1 skein to make a hat. So I had a skein and at least a little bit more than that. So I made 1 hat in that solid. I made another hat with the yarn from the Dark and Stormy that's left over. I have so much leftover hand spun. So I did that. I found a singles yarn that I had spun and dyed in this kind of ice blue color, and I finished that hat. And then yesterday, I just decided I was going to make one last one. And so I cast on, actually, I guess it was the day before yesterday, I cast on the one last hat of 2021. And it's out of the color in my project page doesn't show, but it's that teal green chickadee that I have that I got from Knockers D-Stash. I think I got it from Julie J. Champ.
Yeah.
So I used that up. I just was kind of going to town using up scraps. So I got a lot of those, and I'm now currently knitting on one more. Out of
knitting or crocheting?
Crocheting, rather, yeah. Crocheting one more out of a skein of Invictus worsted weight yarn that I got from the yarn club that I was in. It's a gray and kind of teal green and yellow. Pretty color. And it's the first one that I've made out of a variegated yarn. So I've done solids, I've done stripes, I've done small stripes, I've done big stripes. Now I'm doing variegated. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this hat pattern. And it takes about a skein to make one hat, depending on the size of the skein. It takes about a skein to make one hat. And I've just been going to town. So I've got only 2 active projects right now. One is this hat that I just started today as we were getting ready to record. And then I have a pair of socks that I'm working on. That's out of that Bob Ross Happy Little Mistakes yarn from the Weird Sisters Wool Emporium in Aberdeen. So those are my only 2 active projects that I have. Yeah, I pretty much cleaned out the project page by the end of the year, which was kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, that's it for projects. We need to talk about our alongs we're having.
So yeah, Marsha, you're right. We do need to talk about our alongs. For example, our crochet along. It's ending on the 10th of January.
Yes. I better get going.
Well, I've crocheted enough of these Pebblebrook hats for the both of us, I think.
Well, my plan went awry, but my plan was to be down there in California to knit, have you help me with the mitts, the paving mitts, but that did not happen. So
dig out my Tunisian crochet double-ended Tunisian crochet hook, which I'm not sure where it is, but I we'll talk about this in our next episode, but I am doing sort of a tossing of the stash and reorganizing of all the bags with bits and bobs from previous projects and stuff. So I will find them at some point, but I don't even know where they are. So even if you were here, I'm not sure I would have been able to help you with the those double-ended hooks because I don't know where I put them.
The next crochet along, maybe they'll get those mitts done. Because I do like them. But anyway. Okay. So let's talk about the crochet along.
Yeah, let's.
So that actually, it started in November. And as you said, it ends January 10th. And should we talk about some of the things people have been doing so far?
Yeah.
Because people have been doing some pretty interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Some kind of inspiring things, too. I've got some ideas for after the crochet along is over of things I might do with some of my stash. There's been a couple of really interesting baskets. So Super Kip, she made a crochet basket. And then Joy Lane also made a crochet basket. She used scraps in hers. And I was thinking, oh, that might be kind of nice. A nice way to use up a lot of my spirit yarn. So that might be something in my future, one of those crochet baskets.
Did you see purple dogwood and all the Santa hats?
Oh my gosh, yes. And she also made pumpkin hats.
Yes.
All those baby hats for the hospital. That was very cool to see her project. Yeah. Yeah, the Santa and pumpkin hats were super cute. Quite a lot of toys. We had Knitting Around made a rabbit toy. And V-Bird Flies, she made a hedgehog, super cute hedgehog, and a dinosaur, Triceratops maybe. I can't remember now which kind of dinosaur, but so that was cute to see those toys. You know I'm a sucker for crochet toys. In fact, on Christmas Day, my brother-in-law, he thanked me again and told me how much he appreciated the Star Wars characters that I made that one year, all those little Star Wars characters. So yeah, and the funny thing is he said, I don't think he listens this far into the show, but he did say that he likes to listen to our banter at the beginning. So so Ron listens to the first like 10 or 15 minutes of our podcast.
And then he's had enough.
Every time. He doesn't stay for the knitting, but he likes to hear the little all the stuff that's going on. So anyway, I thought that was fun. But yeah, crochet toys are a lot of fun, and we've got a few of them in this crochet along. So that was kind of cool to see.
Well, and Super Kip also made the really cute activity cube. Did you see that?
Yes. In fact, when she first started and she said she was making the Moses basket and she was going to make a baby toy, I'm like, oh, is there an announcement? Do you have an announcement for us? She's like, no, it's a friend's baby. But yeah, that's a really cute idea with the little things hanging down and a little, like a little ring crocheted onto it, a little rattle crocheted onto it.
That's very cute.
Yeah. When she first talked about it, the activity cube, I've seen like puzzle cubes. That's what I was thinking she was making until I saw the finished result. I've seen they have these like 3-dimensional puzzles where all the pieces fit together into something, you know, that like they make a circle or maybe they make a cube. I don't know. I when I was looking at baby toys at one point, I saw all of these baby toys, crochet baby toys, where the pieces all fit together into like a puzzle, into a different shape. And I thought, oh, that would be kind of fun too to make, but I haven't ever attempted anything like that. And then Mary, she made a dog bed, which looked really super soft and cuddly.
Yes.
Like, oh, that would be, Minnie would like that. Our cat would like that.
Yeah, there's some really cute things.
Oh, you know what else I need to mention? It's Ms. Nim. She's making a crochet cocoon, which is like a sweater. kind of like my Habitat sweater, where it, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like a big shrug, I guess is a good way to describe it. A full size, full sweater size shrug. Anyway, she's making it, but she's making it out of the Stonehenge crazy yarn.
Oh,
our favorite thing. And she has all the skeins, in the picture, and it just made me think of when we were in Eugene, and we had all that yarn all strewn all over.
Yeah, they were so sweet to us because they said they knew because no two skeins are alike, so everybody's just basically pulls everything out of the shelf and lays it on the floor, which is what we did. So, yeah.
So, but
I saw her picture, but I didn't realize that's what she was making.
Yeah.
So, oh yes, very cool. Nice colors too. I love that yarn.
I know it kind of made me think about going and buying some more of that yarn because that was really fun yarn to knit with. And then Mimi Fan, she made a bathroom mat that she actually not sure she likes. I don't know. Oh. She was threatening to rip it out, and I said, well, if you decide you don't like it, you could always just give it to the dog as a dog bed. Stick it on the like a little blanket on the dog bed or a pad inside the crate if she crates her dog. So anyway, it was kind of funny because she was like, I'm not sure I finished it. Not sure I like it. But at least it's finished, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you can decide if you like it enough to keep it or if you want to do something else with it. But I have had projects like that. Not too many, but I have had projects like that where it's like, okay, I'm just glad this is finished, and I don't think I even like
I'm actually going to quote from her. She says, I've been working on this bath mat for 11 months. I hate it so much. That's more dramatic than the way you described it, Kelly.
True. That's true. I was trying to be gentle. I hate it so much.
Okay. She says, I hate it so much, but it's done, except for weaving and ends. And I used up every bit of yarn that I bought. My bathroom is small, and it's a weird shape. So many errors. I may just end up throwing it away, but I'll give it a few weeks since it took so long to make. It needs some ends woven in and some washing to flatten it out. I'm so happy it's done. Anyway, that's just funny to me.
Yeah, I think everybody can relate. Everybody's got one of those projects that just became an albatross, after a while.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I had a linen weaving project, and I forgot how furry the linen was because it's a real rustic linen. And so, there's a technique where you soak it in gelatin to kind of make all that stick down.
Oh, right.
So it doesn't rub on the heddles and stuff. And I had forgotten about that technique. So I got it all threaded, and I was starting to wind on, and the little threads were catching everywhere. And I thought, oh yeah, I need to do this technique. Well, I didn't want to unthread it, right? So I soaked it in gelatin while it was on my loom. But I also didn't look up the real recipe for the gelatin that you make. I just used the gelatin packet like gelatin. And so when I got done and I squeezed it all out, it became like these solid, each group of maybe 20 or 30 threads became like this solid rope of stuck together linen.
Yeah.
And so then it sat on my loom like that for about 4 months, maybe longer. And is like, well, I have to do something with it because it was de-stash. I mean, it was, it was spirit yarn, but it's linen, And finally, I forget whose project I read about, but it was I was like, okay, yeah, I need to soak it in water, get some of that extra gelatin out, let it dry again. I don't want to pull it out because it's all threaded on the loom, so I'll try to do it around and then finally I thought, you know what? I'm just done. I cut the thing off. I threw it all away. And I felt so good. I didn't even try to salvage it. I just cut the thing off and threw it in the garbage. or threw it in the compost. I don't know, probably the compost because it was linen, but like I felt so good. It was such a relief to get that dog off my loom. I mean, it was terrible. That project was a terrible thing. And I was dumb. I should have, I could have, I thought I was saving time by not taking it off and redoing it. I could have redone it 17,000 times in the amount of time that it sat on my loom, preventing me from working other projects. So anyway, I can feel for you, Mimi fan. I don't know what the status of your bathroom mat is now, but I do understand the sentiment.
You have permission to throw it away if it'll make you feel better.
Right, exactly. It does feel good sometimes.
Yeah.
So the crochet along's going really well. I have to say, I miss Amy. We lost her last year. She died, and she's really missed in the thread. Green Hook. She was always a big poster in the crochet along thread, and just in the morning coffee and different threads, she would post her crochet projects, and that loss is it was a little over a year ago that she died, and I miss her.
It's felt right now.
Yeah. So, but our crochet along ends January 10th. We'll be drawing prizes in our next episode. So you still have time to get a project in. So get out your hook and make a project. There's one thread. There's a chatter thread, and I just added the FOs to that chatter thread. So if you've been waiting for a finished object thread to post in, you can just post in your pictures and your information in the chatter thread, and we'll draw prizes from that. It's small enough that the number of participants is small enough that I think it'll just be better to draw from the chat thread. So. So make sure you post your finished object pictures in there, and come chat about people's crochet in the next week and a half or so.
Yeah. And then we just have to mention that the Winter Weave Along is still going on. That ends the end of March. Okay, well, I think that's about it. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I don't think
we could go on another hour, knowing us.
We could. Next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about my sort of reviewing last year, and then some things that I want to do, because I just started today with that tossing of my stash, going through my yarn and coming to realizations about what I do have, and the real truth about the yarn I have, as opposed to what I think in my head when I'm not looking at it all. So that'll be next. That'll be I'm going to do some reflection on that, and we'll talk a little bit about that next time. So I don't know, you've looked at your yarn recently and gotten rid of a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I did a big tossing of the stash, and that's another reason why it'd been kind of fun to be down there, is to help you do the tossing of the stash.
The possible tossing out of the stash. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But right now, we'll talk more about it. But, you get inspiration when you look at it. So I've got it out so I can look at it all and see if I come up with some inspirations. And then some of my inspirations might be similar to that. The bathroom mat and my gelatin weaving, my gelatin linen weaving project. We will see. You have permission to put it in the compost pile if you feel like it. Well, I will report back in 2 weeks. Yeah, what the status is of some of that. That stuff. The really little stuff, I've already started throwing away the little, you have a walnut-sized ball of yarn. Really, do I need to save a walnut-sized ball of yarn?
I don't know. Kelly, I have a whole box of walnut-sized bits of yarn.
Bits of string too small to use. That's what.
Yes, and they're actually in a box labeled bits of string too small to use.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna go. I really have to go now because Enzo's now sitting here nudging me.
Oh,
it's dinner time.
Yeah,
it's dinner time. So
all right.
Okay, we'll talk in 2 weeks.
All right,
and I'll
Marsha.
find out what's going on with that stash.
Okay, and Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everyone listening.
Yes, Happy New Year.
All right.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit TwoEwesFiberAdventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am betterinmotion and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the Two Ewes
Doing our part for world fleece.